Hey everyone, I'm Ross Treleven, and this is another Spotlight interview. Today I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, can you introduce yourself to everyone at Sprague?
I'm Thomas Baksa. Work up in Marysville office. Work in Bellingham area.
The Bellingham area is probably different than a lot of other areas. How would you describe the most northern route at Sprague?
I'd say it's a pretty heavy industrial. There's a lot of farms, a lot of industry. Even the farms are all factories basically. So very little small work, a lot of big work, a lot of 100+ accounts, 100+ device accounts.
Now, with its proximity to Canada, is the border still closed? Like, is it less busy up there now?
Uh, just fewer Canadian license plates. It's about the only difference. It's still closed though.
Still closed. Okay, so yeah, fewer tourists, fewer. It's the gateway to Vancouver for us. Well, what's your journey at Sprague been like?
Oh, I started up here 3.5 years ago now. So yeah, did I did the route work with the original guy who was up here, Matt, and it was pretty interesting. I like the idea of being my own boss for once, coming out of the military. That was definitely a change of pace, and definitely excited to take that on. Uh, I was very nervous about the interaction with people, which is ironic, basically from where I was then to where I am now, and certain awards that I have won. I think the people aspect is one of the strongest aspects. So I like to think I take on things that I'm scared of doing and don't like doing to get over it. And I think I accomplished that with Sprague. So it's one of my exciting, more accomplished things with Sprague.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Well, you told me that you were a jet mechanic in the Air Force before this.
Yeah, I worked on C-130s, one of the few propeller planes left. Big old cargo planes. They were used in Vietnam. They're so old.
Wow.
Did that. It's pretty fun work. Uh, did a couple other things in the military. I've been to many countries. We did a 6-month trip in uh, Europe, so it was probably the best place, and the worst place is obviously Afghanistan, stuff like that. But we did all that work, and yeah, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours, and long time. Just like, but now I'm excited to work those long hours now.
Well, yeah.
Not so great there.
What's the difference between being a jet mechanic and being a pest control technician? I imagine they're very different, or maybe I'm exaggerating that.
Well, there's definitely. I would say that people think that machines are just machines. No, they're alive and they have a mind of their own, and you got to figure them out. Just kind of like doing pest control. You got to figure out what they're very one track, but they do have a mind of their own. So the bugs and the rats, they think a certain way, and you got to figure out the way they think. And it's kind of the same way with the machines. You turn the wrenches and fixing stuff. You might be doing the same thing with pest control. I guess you're adding bait stations or fly lights, fixing a problem. So I think they follow kind of the same parallel. Just I'm dirty with grease, and now I've just got to watch the baits and stuff to make sure I don't get dirty with those.
Now, how'd you get to Bellingham? Are you native to that area?
Yeah, I was born in Cedro Woolley, and then I had moved back and forth between Texas and here. Uh, I was stationed in Arizona though when I was in the military. Decided to come back. I love the landscape, the area. I like the cold, the clean. It feels clean in the air. Spent so much time in the desert. I decided I really didn't like it. So a little bit of family here. I mean, family's all over the world, but a little bit of family here. Like the area. I know the economy was generally better at that time, so I just decided to make a trip of it and come back here. And about 6 months after, you guys took me on.
That's awesome. So you and I share something. We both work with our dads. How's that play out for you and your dynamic?
Well, I wouldn't be telling the complete truth. I wouldn't say I was a little tickled that I was the boss for a little while, but I, it follows I guess in the genetic pattern. I'd work until you guys make me stop, and I know he will too. So I figured he was probably a pretty good fit. I know he didn't like his previous line of work as much. Things are getting kind of mucky. As good clean work as far as I'm concerned. I get sent out on my own, and I know he likes working on his own sometimes too. So I would definitely enjoy that part, and I think he does too. I haven't heard much negative at all. So
That's awesome. Well, what was 2020 like for you? A year like no other.
oh, it. I mean, I saw it coming, and uh, I was asking before anybody was talking about it back when it was kind of localized off our shores, the virus, and I was almost kind of worried about it way more at the beginning before it ever even showed up here because things get shut down, and I was like, ugh. Uh, then it kind of took its course, and I would say I slowed down when it came to uh, I mean, I'm kind of really empathetic, and I was like, well, I don't want to start pushing a lot of heavy sales and add-ons and stuff like that if they're just going to be like, well, we just can't do it, we just can't do it. I heard none of that. It was actually the complete opposite. I asked my boss, I was like, oh, I don't think I should be pushing too much. I was like, oh no, go ahead and do it. I think I've topped more service agreements and probably almost dollar amount in total sales and everything. So it was a complete opposite. Everybody wanted more. I had some factories that were more in the health industry asking for more, doing more, and maybe only restaurants kind of slow down. And I have, I think, 3. So
Wow.
I actually ramped up a lot comparatively, which I think translated.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the first thing you're gonna do when the pandemic's over?
Oh, I've been hitting the kind of the health thing a lot. I think after the military, it was rough. I kind of resented a lot of things that were required of me, and I kind of pushed a lot of the health things aside. Sprague gives me a nice 5 to 6 mile per day walking mandate, which is good. But I think my body's kind of gotten used to it. I've switched completely off everything processed, all carbs, everything. I'm completely like crazy natural all of a sudden, and I just want gyms to kind of go back to normal, especially the ones with the daycares, because my wife wants to go, and we have our daughter, she's like 6, so she gets to kind of hang out and play, and I think that's the big limiter right now. Not enough free time in the day for us to both go, so if we can both go, I can start hitting the physical side of the health. That would probably be the biggest thing.
Gosh, I feel you on that one. I miss the gyms. So what does winning the Bob Treleven Tech of the Year award mean to you?
Oh, it's I guess my biggest thing that I never think about and I don't talk about, but it's just I like to act as if I don't need any acknowledgement, but getting it brings all the meaning in the world to the work I'm doing to Sprague. I get appreciation almost every day from the clients. The clients are pretty much what makes this job what it is, especially for me. And to really get like a high acknowledgement from Sprague is probably the most motivating and satisfying accomplishment I think I've ever really gotten, honestly, when I stop and think about it. So it means everything when it comes to my professional life. So that's probably the biggest thing.
That's pretty cool. Bob Treleven was one of those guys. Now he passed away when I was pretty young, but I got to know him just a little bit. And my grandpa was one of those people who was really under the radar in regards to his appreciation. He didn't need a lot; he wanted to give, and it sounds like you two have a very similar spirit. What advice would you have someone who's just starting out at Sprague?
Never assume that you can improve on either what you're doing or what the client is receiving. I went through a phase in 2020 where there was no account without a fix or without an improvement. That was kind of the little motto I followed, just to, if there was nothing big to fix, at least do one thing. If it was just a simple, really badly written placard with a number on it and it just needed the number, as long as I was doing one thing to each account, at least I know, leaving it better than I came there, and I've been doing them for 3 years. I'm still trying to find ways to do them better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's things like that that contributed probably to you winning the 2020 Tech of the Year. That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining me today on the Spotlight Series.
Thank you for having me.